All right, hit the books time, part of the Hammer Betting Network. I am Brad Powers, and on today's edition, we are filling out my bracket for the 2023 NCAA tournament. First off, bracket strategy for me and how I'm going to attack this particular bracket. I think this will be a good one to use in a pool size of maybe 50 to 100 people. So what does that mean? It means that I'm going to pick some upsets. I'm not going to go significantly chalk here. I think smaller the pool, the more the less upsets you want to pick. You want to go chalk heavy. If you're talking about an office pool of 25 or less, go chalk. Go with the win probability, and I think you'd perform quite well in using that type of strategy. The bigger the pool, I mean, say for ESPN's bracket challenge, I mean, you want to pick as many upsets as possible. And obviously, not only do you want to pick the upsets, but you're going to have those upsets hit for you to be in the top 1% when it's all said and done. So bigger the pool, more upsets, smaller the pool, less upsets. This is going to be kind of in between. So this will be a big office pool, a lot bigger than just you and your buddies in this one. So this will be something to use if you're in a pool of 50 to 100 people. And I guess producer extraordinaire, Zach Phillips, do you want to get to the bracket, buddy?
Yeah, let's bring the bracket up. We'll get started here. All right.
We are going to start in the South with the number one team in the country, Alabama. And obviously, I am going to take Alabama to advance in that first game over the 16 seed who we just saw won on Tuesday night. The 8-9 matchup, I'm going to go with the 9 seed, West Virginia, the actual favorite. And we've seen West Virginia take some action in the market there. So West Virginia for me. The 5-12 matchup. Now, there's a lot of anti-Mountain West sentiment in the marketplace, a lot of money coming against Mountain West teams. We've actually seen a little bit of money come on San Diego State, and I think that's the right side here. I just think that they have an elite defense. They played a much tougher schedule. I think people are falling in love with that Charleston 31-3 record. Give me San Diego State to advance. 4-13 matchup, another one that's a popular, trendy upset pick, Furman over Virginia. I get it. Virginia's not a team you want to lay points with. They struggle offensively. That's been the case for several years now, but with that being said, I like Virginia to advance. I'll take the now 6-point favorite. They just took a ton of money as we're recording this on Wednesday morning. Give me Virginia there. 6-11 matchup. I like Creighton. So a little bit chalk heavy here so far, but I think when you look at efficiency rankings for Creighton, I'm both top 30 offense and defense. This is a really solid team with not many weaknesses. So I do like Creighton there against an NC State team that played in a watered-down ACC conference this year. 3-14 matchup. Baylor, obviously, I'm going to take them to advance here as a double-digit favorite. I think Santa Barbara can give them a little bit of trouble, but in the end, Baylor wins that one. And let me also say this. This is not necessarily recommendations against the spread-wise here. Just because I'm picking teams straight up to advance doesn't mean that I wouldn't be betting against some of these against the spread. I mean, the spread being the great equalizer, so I do want to caveat that. Missouri, Utah State. A lot of money on Missouri. I just got to go with efficiency numbers. And, man, I like Utah State here. I think they deserve to be the favorite here. I'll take the 10 seed that's the favorite to advance. Arizona, Princeton, easy. Give me the Wildcats there to advance in the 2-15 matchup, although I think I did bet Princeton plus the 14. I will say that. Let's go back to the top, Alabama. I like to advance over West Virginia. I just don't think West Virginia has it. The press won't bother Alabama too much there. San Diego State, Virginia. Believe it or not, I would have San Diego State favored. So give me the 5 seed Aztecs to advance over Virginia there in that matchup. I do like San Diego State. I like Dutcher, their head coach. They've been there, done that, and this is one of the best teams that they've had there outside of the 2020 team that we never got to see in the tournament. In the 6-3 matchup, here's where my upsets start happening. I'm going to take Creighton over 3 seed Baylor. I actually would favor, in my power ratings, I would favor Creighton over Baylor. So, yeah, it's an up seed on the seed line. And I think this would be a good one where if you're getting points for a particular seed in that type of bracket, I mean, I think you can take advantage of it here because I think Creighton will be favored, and yet they're the 6th seed, so you get that extra points there. So give me Creighton. Arizona, I'll take over Utah State quite comfortably. I'll take the Wildcats there. Alabama, definitely over San Diego State in that one, significantly there. I just think Alabama's got too much offense for San Diego State. Multiple players there. Arizona over Creighton. Although I think it'll be a very tight matchup, I would only favor Arizona by about a bucket in that game. But I'll go In the end, I know it's a little bit of chalk, Alabama, Arizona in this region. It won't be the case for me in every region, but I'm going to take the Crimson Tide of Alabama to the Final Four. Again, a little bit better offensively. As long as they don't have an off night from behind the arc, I think they breeze through this region, the Crimson Tide.
There you go. First team through to the Final Four. Brad, before you move on to the other side, I want to ask you quickly. You talked about your power rankings and your power ratings that you have there and how you kind of look at the matchups as they go along. Just wanted to know from a perspective of people who are watching, kind of wondering where you get this. How do you come up with your power rankings and where does that kind of get built in?
So it's real simple. I don't originate like I do in college football. I take a combination of some of the efficiency numbers like KenPom, Bart Torvik. Sagarin's got a very basic bottom line power rating. So I use a combination of all three of them, and boom, bang, you got, I guess, my power ratings using a bunch of consensus from a lot of other people.
All right, fair enough. That's a good way to go about it. All right, let's continue on. Midwest now.
All right, down in the Midwest, or actually across to the Midwest, I should say. Easy one for me, Houston against Northern Kentucky. I will say I did bet Northern Kentucky plus 20 with the concerns around Marcus Sasser. Just because though I bet him against the spread doesn't think I'm going to call for one of the biggest upsets in tournament history. Houston advances to the second round there. Iowa, Auburn. I like Auburn quite a bit. And in fact, this is one of my best bets. I mean, I'm only laying, you could find pick 'em in the market right now. I just think Auburn playing close to home in Birmingham, Alabama, they'll have the crowd edge. I like that they're more balanced offensively, defensively than Iowa. Iowa's got a great offense, but a poor defense. But give me the Tigers there to advance. Miami, Drake. So early number, Miami got flashed one across the screen. Pull behind the curtain. I bet Miami. I just thought that line's going to go up. But this is one where, especially if you're in a bracket pool where you're going to get points for the 12 seed, I mean, I think you got to take Drake here. They're only a 2-point underdog, and you got a 5-12 matchup. So give me Drake here, the 12 seed to advance. Indiana, Kent State, another tough one for me. It's only a 4-point spread here in a 4-13 matchup. I'm going to take Indiana, though. To advance. I'm not a big fan of the MAC. It's really, since I was in school, in a MAC school, that conference is really downtrodden compared to what it used to be. So Indiana to advance there. Iowa State over Pittsburgh for me. We just saw Pittsburgh pull a slight upset against Mississippi State. Tough game for them. They were impressive. I didn't think Pitt would even win that game, but I just think Iowa State playing in the toughest conference in college basketball this year, a little bit more battle tested than Pitt playing in a watered down ACC. Give me the Cyclones. Xavier against Kennesaw State. I'm going to take Xavier in this one. Full disclosure, I did bet Kennesaw State early on in the betting. But again, I'm not going to call for a double-digit outright upset here. So give me Xavier there. Texas A&M Penn State, very intriguing matchup here. A tough one for me. Obviously, Penn State on fire, playing their best basketball season, got to the Big Ten championship game, almost won that. Texas A&M, to me, I just think defensively a little bit tougher. And again, I call this my college football bias a little bit. I don't like betting on Big Ten athletes against SEC athletes. So give me Texas A&M there. And then Colgate, Texas. This is another one where, look, I bet Colgate plus the points, but again, I think Texas advances here. Not going to call for the huge upset, but I'll get the Longhorns there to advance against Texas A&M. Would be a good rivalry game. Back to the top, Houston, Auburn. Give me Houston again. Hopefully Sasser's getting healthier at this point. And then Auburn, to me, just not consistent, even though I picked them over Iowa. I mean, this is an Auburn team that's only won 4 of their last 13 games. So the Cougars for me there. Drake against Indiana. I'm going to go Drake. One of the most seasoned teams in all of college basketball. I think there obviously will be at least one double-digit seed, 11 or 12 seed to make the Sweet 16. So Drake will be that team for me. I'm a big fan of their coach. Been a consistent winner the last 3-4 years. So give me Drake there to advance over Indiana. Iowa State, Xavier, tough matchup. I mean, relatively close point spread. I'd only have Xavier a slight favorite, but I'm going to take the Musketeers. I almost said the Mouseketeers. Give me Xavier to advance there. Really close game. That's a tough one for me to advance. Texas for me over Texas A&M. I think rivalry game, but I still would favor Texas by 4 or 5 points. So Longhorns there. Sweet 16's easy for me in this one. Houston advances there. Again, another week off for Sasser. He should be healthy there. And look, Kelvin Sampson, I think, doesn't get enough credit. I mean, very seasoned coach, veteran coach. Keep in mind, this is a veteran Houston team that's made the Elite Eight last year, the Final Four 2 years ago. So I got them going to the Elite Eight for the third consecutive year. Texas over Xavier in this one. I would be betting Texas in this game. They would be a slight favorite. I like the efficiency numbers for the Longhorns, both offensively and defensively in the top 20. Only very few teams can say that. Boy, this is a coin flip for me. Spread wise, I probably could see myself betting Texas here. I flip flop back and forth. My early gut instinct was Texas out of the region, but man, the more I think about it, you got Kelvin Sampson against an interim coach. I trust Houston more than I do Texas. Texas perennially, historically, has not fared well in this tournament. So I think that I'll go with Houston here, the 1 seed. Another 1 seed, believe it or not. 1-2 matchup. Now you're saying, man, I've been pretty chalk so far. That will not continue starting with this region. So I'm going to – yeah, you got any questions for me, Zach?
No, I like it so far. Let's keep rolling.
All right, let's do it. Purdue, 1-16 matchup. Obviously, going 1 seed, Purdue there. We'll say hopefully Texas Southern is the team they're playing. Texas Southern -2 was one of my favorite best bets of the first 4. Memphis, Florida Atlantic, really good matchup. It's a shame these two are playing one another. Both capable of winning multiple games in this tournament. In this particular instance, I'm going to go with the slight favorite. Give me Memphis, the winners of the AAC. Duke, Oral Roberts. Another Oral Roberts getting a lot of love, public love. I like Duke. Not only the ACC tournament champions, but the one game that I fell in love with this team is what they did in North Carolina in the regular season finale. North Carolina senior day needs the win to maybe get off the bubble. Duke goes in there with their young team that's been on fire. They pull the outright upset. They carry that over the ACC tournament. This is a young team that's really finding themselves here. You're going to find that out as they fill out this region. But Duke in that matchup. Tennessee against Louisiana. I like Louisiana here. No, I don't. I like Louisiana plus the points. I'm sorry, plus the points, but I'm going to take Tennessee to advance. I do like Louisiana quite a bit, though, plus the points, but I'm not going to call for a double-digit outright upset. So we'll take that there. Kentucky, I lay the 4 with Kentucky. I like Kentucky quite a bit over Providence, a Providence team that struggled down the stretch. I think everybody's off the Kentucky bandwagon from last year, losing as a 2 seed to 15 seed St. Peter's. Then you look at Kentucky losing to Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament. But I like to watch markets, and Kentucky was a team that was getting bet on a ton in early March. And just because they lost one game, I'm not off the wagon there. So I'll take Kentucky. Kansas State, I think, is overrated. But I'll have Kansas State advancing to the second round. But I think this is one of the most overrated teams in college basketball. From a power ratings perspective, probably more like a 6 seed instead of a 3 seed. That'll come into play in the next round. Michigan State, USC, true coin flip. I know Izzo, historically he's been great in March, but man, the last 3 tournaments haven't been great for him. But with that being said, I just trust him a little bit more. Although Andy Enfield's really good for USC, so I'll take Michigan State, true coin flip there. I don't think you go wrong either way. Marquette, obviously, to advance as the 2 seed in that one in the 2-15 matchup. All right, here's the upsets where they start. Give me Memphis, the 8 seed over the 1 seed. Purdue historically, for 40 years, they can't get the job done in the tournament no matter who they got. I'm not a big fan of the 7-footer Edey. He's a top 5 player, but I just don't think stylistically that translates well to today's day and age in college basketball. Memphis, with their athletes and Penny Hardaway really finding himself as a coach a lot this year. So give me Memphis, big upset. Duke against Tennessee, I'll take Duke. I just think with Tennessee's injury and their inability on the offensive side of the ball to find a lot of playmakers, I think that'll hurt them. So give me Duke there. Here's another upset. Give me Kentucky over Kansas State. In fact, I would not be a bit surprised Kentucky's favored over Kansas State in this one. So Kentucky for me advancing. I'll take Marquette, the 2 seed over Michigan State there. Obviously Marquette, the Big East champs. Going back to the top, I'll take Duke over Memphis in the Sweet 16. Again, Duke playing their best basketball of the season, 9 straight wins for the Blue Devils. This is a team that, again, a lot of freshmen, and that's kind of something that I utilize. I like the teams that are young that start to find themselves in February and March, and we're seeing that with the Blue Devils. They go to the Elite 8. And I'm going to take another upset. I'm going to take Kentucky over Marquette. Again, Kentucky's a team very talented. I think there'll be a slight underdog in this game, probably a 2-3 point dog, but I'll take Kentucky. And I know there's a lot of disdain for John Calipari. I get he hasn't done a good job the last couple of years, but man, prior to 2020 and that COVID year, this was a team that Elite Eight, Sweet 16. So wasn't that long ago they were making runs in the tournament. They'll make another run this year. An Elite Eight. TV executives will be happy if this matchup turns out to be true. I'm going to take Duke to the Final Four, the 5 seed. Blue Devils, the ACC champs, making a second consecutive trip to the Final Four for the Blue Devils.
All right.
Anything else for me?
Over to the what? No, you're not the first person to send Duke in these videos through to the Final Four. I think this might be the third Duke selection, but this is the first Duke Kentucky matchup that we've seen. So it's been interesting to see how everyone gets to the points that they're at. But continue on with the West here.
Yeah, the West is going to be another region where I'm going to take some upsets here. I'm not going to take the 116 upset. Give me Kansas. In fact, I laid the points with Kansas. So I'm not a huge fan of this Howard team. I laid the 20.5, 21 with Kansas. So I think I blow out there. Arkansas, Illinois. I like Arkansas in this one. I bet Arkansas. We've seen a little bit of money come in on Illinois, but I'm not too worried. Arkansas for me. That team has just been tough luck. Lost a lot of close games this year. St. Mary's VCU, shame on the committee for this one. I mean, this would be another good Allen Boston rant. The committee puts these good mid-majors against one another to knock each other out. But, I mean, I could see VCU advancing. I just think St. Mary's from efficiency aspect, from my power ratings, I bet them. I laid the 3.5. So St. Mary's for me advancing. Connecticut, you're going to hear me talk about Connecticut quite a bit. I like them. I bet them even against Iona. I like Rick Pitino. I just think it's a tough matchup for Iona, and I think there's some distractions for Rick Pitino. This will be his last game as the head coach, as he'll move on to a bigger job next year. TCU, I think, is overrated, but I'm not a fan of Arizona State or Nevada, whoever ends up winning that, as we're recording this Wednesday before that game. I'll take TCU, although I don't think they'll be a big favorite over either one of those teams. I'll take Gonzaga over Grand Canyon, although I did bet Grand Canyon plus the big number there. The South Point opened like 17 or something, some ridiculous number. So I took Grand Canyon there, but Gonzaga advances. Northwestern, Boise State. Man, I know this is against the grain, but I'm going to take another Mountain West team to advance. I'm going to take Boise State, who now is a slight underdog. They were favored early in the week. A lot of money on Northwestern. I just think stylistically, I mean, it's going to be a very low scoring game, maybe the lowest scoring game of round one, but I'll take Boise State there. UCLA advances over North Carolina, Arlington there. So that'll be that. Kansas, Arkansas, give me the Jayhawks. Although I think it'll be a tight game. I think they'll only be maybe a 3-4 point favorite there. Tough game for Kansas, but I got them advancing to the Sweet 16. I'm going to take Connecticut over St. Mary's. In fact, I would anxious to see what that spread will be. I'll probably be laying the points with the Huskies there. I'm going to take Gonzaga over TCU. I mean, I know we've seen this before. I think Gonzaga is coming in this tournament a little underrated, a little under the radar. I mean, you look at Bart Torvik. The one thing I like that I think Bart Torvik, the site, is sometimes I think it's superior to KenPom is you can adjust the different date ranks. Like I can just go from February 1st on. The number one team in the country from efficiency aspect has been Gonzaga, believe it or not. And they have the number one offense in efficiency metrics. So Gonzaga for me to the Sweet 16. They're going to take on UCLA, in my opinion. Even with the injury, they're still a very experienced team, made a Final Four run just 2 years ago. And we get that rematch of the Final Four, that great game, one of the best basketball games of the last 30 years, Gonzaga, UCLA, from the Final Four a couple of years ago. I got Connecticut over Kansas. Would not be a bit surprised if lines pick them, if not Connecticut favored, believe it or not, over Kansas. So the defending champs get knocked out in the Sweet 16, Connecticut to the Elite Eight to take on Gonzaga. Gonzaga upsets UCLA. Probably would have picked UCLA if they didn't have the injury. So, but with that, I'm going to take Gonzaga. And I'm going to take Connecticut to advance to the Final Four. Reason being, they're just a little bit more balanced offense-defense compared to Gonzaga, who's got the great offense, a little bit of a shaky defense. And I also like that, Connecticut's played a much tougher schedule. So the Huskies, the 4 seed coming out of that region.
Now to the Final Four. So we're looking at Alabama, Duke, the 1 versus 5. And then on the other side, Houston, UConn, 1 versus 4. What are we sending to the national championship game?
I'm going to take the Crimson Tide of Alabama over Duke. I think they'll be about a 4 or 5 point favorite in that one. So, I mean, even with all the distractions, I thought they kind of answered the bell with that. So, Alabama for me. And then they'll be playing Connecticut, the 4 seed, the team that's won, 4 national titles in the last 20 years. And this will be yet under another different coach, Connecticut making a run here. And then when it's all said and done, the Crimson Tide of Alabama. We're not talking college football. We're talking college basketball. They'll cut down the nets and win the game 76-74.
76-74. And what is the reasoning behind the score there?
It's just what I project power ratings wise. I got Alabama be a 2-point favorite, and I looked at the scoring averages divided by 4, offense, defense, and then
Okay.
I think I came to 147. I figured stylistically Alabama's superior team probably play more to them. The total will get bet up, so I made it 150.
All right, there you go. There's Brad Power's final 2023 national champion. Alabama beats UConn in the finals, 76-74. Brad, before I let you go, get out of here, one thing I want to ask you, you're going to be betting on this. You've talked about some of the games you've already bet on. How does your March Madness brackets compare to the importance to you in terms of compared to your betting going into the tournament? Is this just a little fun thing on the side?
It's a fun thing on the side. So I probably should have prefaced that. I mean, don't be taking that for word. And I'll just say this, generally speaking, I am not an originator in college basketball like I am in college football. I am not watching college basketball practices in the offseason. I'm not even watching college basketball games in November because I'm watching college football. So I would take a little bit of that with a grain of salt. I'm just not as good in college hoops as I am in college football. Betting, though, is still everything over these pools. I mean, this is something that I would enter. I mean, everyone asks me, you want to be in the pool, And my answer is pretty much no. I don't even feel like paying to get in any bracket pools, to be honest with you. So to me, it's all about betting. So, and I think I mentioned this just because I'm taking this team to advance doesn't mean I would necessarily bet them. It's all about the number.
All right, well, if you want to compete against all the brackets that have been submitted here and broken down on the Hit the Books channel, make sure to click the link in the description to go to the ESPN Bracket Challenge where you'll find the Hammer content creators all listed in there. You can go head-to-head, see how you stack up against them. And as well, make sure to subscribe to the Hit the Books channel where you can see more of Brad, the better of the 2 college football analysts that we have on the Hit the Books channel. I'll give you that, Brad, over Mr. Knish, Joey Brackets, as he called himself. I don't even know what he's up to right now, hand-filling brackets somewhere.
Joey Brackets, and he can't even show up on a lot of these college basketball shows.
Exactly. Brad, thank you for taking the time to do this. Thank you to everyone who watched. Make sure to subscribe here to the Hit the Books channel. Like this video. Good luck on your brackets, and more importantly, good luck on your bets during this March Madness.